Welcome to Mastery with Science, home to mad scientists, rogue entrepreneurs, and the coaches with the mostest, featuring JB and the Doctor. Join us in our lab where we mix the old recipes with new formulas and our secret sauce to create incomparable, next-level proven results for you. We call this Mastery with Science. So, slap on your gloves and put on your goggles because JB and the Doctor are in the lab.
It's alive!
Welcome back to the lab. I'm JB.
I'm the Doctor.
We are high-performance coaches. We work with service-based professionals and entrepreneurs. We are hyper-specialized in helping power up productivity, enhance positioning and presentation skills, and supercharging sales. We also believe in the be rich mindset. When we say be rich, we mean rise to mastery, inspire greatness, celebrate knowledge and growth, and help others along the way.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother. Shut your mouth.
Every freaking time this guy gets me with that. If you're a new listener, thank you for joining us. Thank you in advance for putting up with us. For our previous listeners, thank you for putting up with us every time. We appreciate having you back.
Masochists.
Or sadists, I'm not sure which. If you weren't aware, we have a private Facebook group where we offer a tremendous amount of insight, wisdom, and resources. We have a vision for a world where everyone has 100% success in business. So if you are in business, dreaming of being in business, or just simply interested in business, this is a fantastic group to join. We would love to see you there. It's called the Entrepreneur Mastery Lab, and the details and the link are in the show notes below.
Get your business on.
That's right, Doc. Today, super excited to be talking about looming deadlines.
Yikes.
I wanted to say that like horror movie-ish. And the reason being, of course, is you all are listening to this during what was the original looming deadline for your taxes.
No.
Fun times, everybody. Fun times, as everybody should be aware. If you're not, hey, good piece of knowledge. Taxes are no longer due on April 15th this year.
Go figure.
They are pushed back. When they are pushed back to, ask my accountant. He's going to be buried for the next month. For sure.
The one group of people that did not get to benefit from this, their torture usually ends, and now it will be postponed, drawn out. Ugh.
Right? So looming deadlines. I mean, deadlines in general. We put bogeys out there, and we have in our mind that we have to hit these bogeys. And it's really important to some of us to hit these bogeys. And I say some of us, and I am pointing directly to myself, even if you can't see me, because I like to put things on the calendar. I like to have a due date, and I like to meet my due date. Not everybody feels that way.
Some would say almost obsessive about it.
Me? Obsessive about deadlines?
Some would say.
It's not like I grew up in a world where meet a deadline was kind of like have a job or not have a job, but sure. You know, it's an interesting thing. We set deadlines in our heads, right, Doc? And deadlines are important, but maybe more important is recognizing that the metrics we're measuring ourselves by are self-manufactured.
Right. So some deadlines are concrete and some are just arbitrary. We kind of create that structure for ourselves. We create that motivation. We create that instinct that we have to finish something by a certain time. And we know it works, right? We see deadline funnels. We see deadline offers. We see so many things that have deadlines to it. This coupon ends on a certain date, so make sure you buy it before then, because deadlines motivate. But it's important to identify for ourselves those deadlines that are real and those that are just arbitrary.
And it's important not to get too caught up in most deadlines. So deadlines, to your point, Doc, I mean, absolutely fantastic point. They have a place, and it is important to measure ourselves. And we need to be, I would argue, as business owners and people in service-based professions, we need to be obsessed in a lot of ways with growth. You're either growing or you're shrinking. So you need to be, in a sense, obsessed. I'm using obsessed for a reason, with growth. And deadlines can be a great way to measure that because it allows you to take a snapshot. But ultimately, deadlines can lead to a lot of benefit, but they can also be really dangerous because they can have you operate in this mindset that it's almost a scarcity mindset where if I don't get this done, if I don't, and you can really wind up in trouble.
Right. And then what happens when you don't meet that deadline? Did you fail? Do you stop? Do you give up? What's the next step?
50,000 thoughts a day. How many are negative? And you start throwing deadlines in there that you don't hit. And I can guarantee that the number of negative thoughts goes up significantly when you fail to do this.
So something we preach constantly, and I think is super important here as we're talking about this, one size does not fit all. We're not all the same. And what motivates us is slightly different. We can be a perfect example here. JB and myself have different views on a lot of deadlines. We have some deadlines that we know are super important. And I know some are arbitrary, and I don't obsess over them the same way JB might. But I think that balance is good for a lot of us for a lot of times too, because then, he'll push us to get something done quicker and motivate me to, keep that pace. And I can also, remind him that sometimes that deadline was arbitrary and we don't need to overstress about it, and we can refocus where the energy really needs to go. So it could be a great tool, especially if you have that sort of balance around it, using it when it's supposed to be used and pulling back when you need to pull back.
And what you're hitting on here, Doc, is it's somewhat unique because we're in a partnership where we have two different personalities that look at this in two different ways. And yet it drives home maybe a really significant point that you're going to hear in next week's podcast, which is the idea that in a lot of ways, you should be surrounding yourself with people who can help you. And one of the things you can do is have, I don't want to call it an executive board or a board of governance, but you should have people that if you're a solopreneur and if you're on your own, you should have other people that you can have a conversation with that can keep you, I think, attuned to whether or not you're making too big of an issue into deadlines or too little of a focus on deadlines. So you need some perspective. You need some outside perspective, because somebody like me, Doc, if I miss a deadline, it really interrupts my flow. I really struggle. I have a challenge with that. And I need somebody. I need you, buddy. I need you. I need somebody to pull me back and remind me when it's like, hey, that's okay. And I would argue that I think you need somebody like me at times to be like, hey, we have to hit. This is important. Whether or not it's in my head that we have to make it or not, doesn't matter. It's that taking action, and maybe that little extra incentive takes action that might be helpful for somebody like your personality. So having those outside resources to kind of measure yourself against and have some perspective, hugely important.
And I think it goes to what we talked about on a previous episode between actions and inactions. There's a fine line, as you find in most things that we do in business and entrepreneurship. There's that fine line between something being a very effective tool and something be a paralyzing tool. And you have to find that balance. And each person is different. When we think about balance, we don't mean 50-50. Whatever that balance number is for you is what you find. And the same thing goes for your motivations, your tools, you're creating deadlines, that action versus that inaction. And this is one way that it's going to show up, and how you find that balance for it. Like JB said, maybe you can't do it alone. If you don't have that self-awareness, or you're just learning that skill, or that's one of those skills that's not your strength, bring someone on board. It could be a friend, it could be a mentor, it could be a coach. You might have to, just like you would as a personal trainer, hire someone to keep you accountable. And that's a very good tool to use. It's just that awareness of where you are with that balance.
Strikes me as a phenomenal opportunity to put a little plug in for our Entrepreneur Mastery Lab, our
ding, 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 cheap plug,
private Facebook group, because wouldn't you know it, you can set up accountability partnerships within it. We have mentorship roles within it. And it's meant to be a community to provide the resources to do this sort of thing. And self-awareness is really tough for me. And I think for a lot of people, we have blind spots. It's perfectly natural. And it's so incredibly helpful to have some outside eyes looking in. So if you are looking for a community that actually is out there to help lift you up and help you, that's what we put together for you. So come check it out.
Definitely a great place to get some accountability, because there's going to be like-minded people that are going to appreciate hearing your struggle as well, because they can either relate or they can assist. And that's a big part of the Be Rich mindset, with helping others along the way.
Doc, I don't know about you, but we got a little bit of a deadline coming up here. We got to hit, man. We got to get rocking and rolling.
Is that happy hour?
It's 5:00 somewhere.
Depending on what time you're listening to this, let us know. Also, that's actually some great information for us. If you don't mind our listeners reaching out to us again, you can do that on the Facebook group. You can do it. You find the link down in the show notes, wherever it may be, podcast at JBandTheDoctor.com. We love to hear when you listen to the podcast, like what you're doing while you're doing it. Is it something you do while you are working out, while you're driving? I know I listen to most of my podcasts, like when I'm riding my bike, in the shower, doing other stuff in the bathroom, whatever it may be. Because
red light, stop sign.
I just felt that was most on brand for us, or where you would listen to us.
I'm a little concerned. If anybody was listening to that at this point, I apologize.
Wherever it may be.
I apologize for him.
Inquiring minds would like to know. So we would love that information.
Not all of it. Some of it you're welcome to keep to yourself. Please do.
Nothing. You cannot tell me anything that would shock me at this point. So I'm good.
Okay, so you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. We're on Pinterest. We've got our private Facebook group, JBandTheDoctor.com. Do not try to find us in the bathroom. I am JB, and we'll sell you later.
I'm the doctor. Peace out, yo.